Hey everyone, it's Stacy from My Petite Garden. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, whether you spent it with your family, friends, or had a nice quiet holiday by yourself. I have a vlog type of video for you today. We're gonna go to a plant nursery and do a little bit of plant shopping, and then we're gonna go ahead and repot some of those plants together. And then I also have a little bit of a book chat again with you all, and this time it's going to be a little bit of a longer book chat, so I hope you stick around and I hope you enjoy. Grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's get started. My friend and I went to visit Fantastic Gardens, and it is a local plant nursery around me, so it was so nice to take the time to go over there. I was actually here not too long ago when they had their Black Friday sale, but my friend wanted to come back, so we're here and we always have such a great time here. And we come in to browse, but we always end up leaving with at least one or two plants. I was really happy to see that they carried the Peperomia kimnachii that I had, and a lot of you actually really like this plant as well. They actually had it labeled as Peperomia mojo, but I believe it's the same plant. They actually had some really nice selection, and my friend actually ended up taking one home. I love coming here to look for weird and quirky plants because they always have some of those around. I also like coming here to check out their cissus and ripsalis selection because sometimes they have beautiful full hanging baskets of them available. And if you're fans of cacti and succulents, they have a huge selection of those available as well. And even if you don't buy anything, browsing around their greenhouses is just as fun and satisfying. They grow their own propagations here, and they also sell on certain days at the New York City Union Square Farmers Market. Alright, so I'm gonna do this segment as a haul / repotting because it's been over a week now since I bought these plants home from that visit to the plant nursery. This here is a Ripsalis terrace. There was no label when I picked this plant up at the plant nursery, so the girl that worked there kind of looked it up for me, and well, she identified it as best as she can for me, so I appreciated that. I'm not sure if it's exactly the correct name for this one, so if any of you know the exact name and it's not the one on the tag, please let me know. So I'm gonna go ahead and repot this into my own pot and potting mix now, since they've had enough time to acclimate to my home and the conditions. So I have made the potting mix that I like to use. Again, it is a base of cocoa coir with my added amendment of pumice or perlite. I think in this case I used chunky perlite, and also some orchid bark mixed in there, along with some, I believe I added charcoal as well. So horticultural charcoal, and then as usual I will also add in some systemics, like just sprinkle in a little bit as I'm repotting the plant, which you will see. And if you're ever curious as to the exact products that I use, I will always have them linked in my Amazon storefront, so that link is in the description box if you ever want to check that out, and if you're ever curious as to the exact products that I use. If you guys notice that on this Ripsalis, it looks like the top of the plant has a purplish color to it, and I think that's due to the amount of light it gets. So it seems like, as with a lot of Ripsalises, the more light you give it, the more purplish it looks. So I don't know if I can maintain the same level of light that they had for it in the greenhouses, but it does look really pretty with the purple tint to it. The next one that we're going to repot is the Silver Dollar Vine. This one I actually picked up during their Black Friday sale, so this was from a previous trip to this plant nursery, and I believe I had shown this plant as well in a previous video when I hauled it. So this one I'm gonna try and see if I can put it into this rounder bowl-like terracotta pot. I think it's gonna look really nice in here. Another thing that I wanted to mention in terms of when you guys want to know exactly what products I use, I recently started using the new function that is available to content creators on YouTube, which I believe is the shopping function, where you can click on the little shopping bag at the beginning of the video and it'll show you all the different products that the creator has linked for you. I will try to utilize that as much as I can. I'm still fairly new to it, so I need to kind of try it out first. And you guys can maybe let me know which is easier for you, whether it's through my Amazon storefront or through this function here on YouTube. Okay, so this next one here is a Cissus quadrangularis that I picked up on this recent trip to the nursery. And I know I already have one, but look at it. How could you say no to this? It is so chunky. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. This specimen must be so old and mature. And look at the size of those segments. And I'm repotting into my Berg's pot. I'm gonna pot it a little bit deeper because it is pretty top heavy, so I don't want it to topple over. I think I can honestly say that Cissus and Ripsalis are probably my two favorite types of plants to grow right now. They just grow really nicely for me and they're so low maintenance. And knock on wood, they seem to be pretty resistant to a lot of different type of pests. And when they do get pests, I've had dealt with pests on them before, but they were pretty easy to eradicate in terms of, like, as long as I use systemics, I feel like it's not an issue. And I use systemics now as a preventative as well as a treatment. Alright, so now I'm going to repot the one that my dad had done some wire work for me on, and this was one that I had picked up from an earlier visit to the same plant nursery while they were having their Black Friday sale. So I had since then removed some of the painter's tape that my dad had put on the plant. I left the wires on there because I think I want to give it a little bit more time to kind of shape itself a little bit better and grow into that shape. However, I do feel like it is time to now pot it up into my own potting mix, add some systemics, and put it into my own pot. Now I'm gonna add some top dressing to the top of the soil. I usually will do some top dressing, however, I don't put it on all of the plants, especially the ones that have a lot more vines and things like that, where it makes it difficult to top dress. But with succulent and cacti, definitely I love top dressing those. Top dressing for me just makes the whole plant look a lot cleaner and makes it more aesthetically pleasing. So I tend to like to top dress my plants whenever I can. I at first didn't have an identification for this succulent, but someone in the comments for my last video was actually able to identify it for me, and they said it was a Crassula tetragona. So I looked that up, and indeed, I think that is exactly what the succulent is. So huge thank you to the person who helped me identify this. Now I'm just going to finish adding some top dressing to the rest of the plants. Plant chores are done, so I am now going to head out to the bookstore because there is a book that I want to pick up. So let's go. Hello everyone. Well, I am sitting down here today to have a little bit of a book chat with you. I wanted to share some books that I'm hoping to read in 2025. So these are all books that I hope to get to next year. These are all books that are currently on my TBR shelf or to be read shelf. So I want to hold myself accountable, and hopefully by making this little portion of the video, I am able to do that. So I remember that these are books that I said I was going to read, and hopefully I'll get to all of them. I have separated them into genres, I think, as best as I can. Let's get started, and maybe you'll find some books in here that you might want to read too. Who knows, right? I'm going to start with fantasy and sci-fi because surprisingly, that is probably my biggest genre here. Surprisingly, if you asked me 6 months ago, I'd tell you I have 0 books that are in the fantasy and sci-fi genre that I would want to read. But the first one that I want to get to is here, and that is The Blood Trader. This one is the third and last book in the Prison Healer series, which I am actually currently reading the second book of. So the second book is The Gilded Cage, which I am almost done. I have about 30 pages left, so I'm actually going to finish it today. And once I'm done with that, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break before I get to the third book. And the other fantasy, of course, that I want to get to, and I briefly mentioned this one as well in a previous book chat video, that is Sabat, An Ember in the Ashes. Yes, I do hope to start this series next year. I'm not sure if I'm going to get through the whole series next year, but I want to at least read the first book. So that's on the agenda as well. I'm not going to go into too much of a synopsis on any of these books just because I have quite a few books here to share. If I'm not mistaken, I have about 20 something books here. So yeah. And then let's grab these. Whole stack here. Oops. Whole stack. And then I'm going to do all the fantasy first. One Dark Window. I noticed a lot of these are YA fantasies. I don't know, it just so happens. So I have One Dark Window. I think this is YA fantasy. I could be wrong. But I've heard so much good things about this duology. So I have both books. I'm not sure I'm going to get to both books this coming year, but if I like this first one enough, I probably will. Since it's only 2 books, I might as well just read it and finish it. So that one. And if I sound nasally, I should have said this in the beginning. I am still recovering from the flu or whatnot. I caught something from my son. He was sick. He caught something from school. So naturally, he passed it on to me. So it's been like 2 weeks now that I'm still recovering from it. Alright, next one. I think this is YA as well. This is Foxglove. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong book. Oops, this is the second book. Badana is the series that I want to start. Foxglove is the sequel. How gorgeous is this cover though? Yeah, so this one sounds really intriguing. So I'm excited to start this one. Oh, I didn't even mention the author's names. This is Adeline Grace. I will put the name of the books and the authors on the screen for you because I know I'm filming this in portrait mode because I'm using my phone camera to film this, and I know when I go to edit it, the image is flipped, so the title of the book might not show properly for you that you're seeing it. So that's why I will put the name of the book and such. At least you can see the cover. Okay, that's one. And then I think this is the last fantasy. This is House of Hollow. Very similar. I just realized how similar the covers are, but I've heard such good things about it. This is a standalone, so there's only one book, and I heard this is like a thriller / fantasy book.
it just sounds very intriguing. So this is YA as well. Then sci-fi. Oh no, wait, sorry. I have one more fantasy, which is a cozy fantasy, which is really popular, but I still haven't gotten myself to read it yet. Legends and Lattes. I don't know honestly how I feel about cozy fantasy. Some people either love it or hate it. I don't know where I fall yet because I have yet to read a cozy fantasy. A really popular cozy fantasy this year was The Spell Shop, I believe it's called. And I know in that book there is a side character which is a spider plant. So that intrigued me to want to read it. But I haven't picked that one up yet, and I'm not sure if I will because I heard mixed reviews about that one. If I see it at a thrift store, I might pick it up. If you see this cover, this is a UK edition because I really despise the US edition covers. I really don't like cartoon characters on my book covers. And I think the UK cover looks so much better. So that's why I have this edition. So I hope to get to this. Now I have kind of sci-fi-ish books. This one is definitely sci-fi or dystopian. This is Scythe. This is the first book in a series as well. I've been meaning to read this book for so long. So I'm hoping 2025 is the year I finally get to it. I hope. The premise of this is very interesting. Let me just read this really briefly because this is one of the kind of synopsis that I was intrigued with immediately. A world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now Scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. So basically, this is a world where death doesn't occur naturally anymore, and the only way that we can end human life is from these Scythes. So I thought that was a very interesting premise. The next book that I think it is still like sci-fi-ish is Julia Armfield's Our Wives Under the Sea. Again, this is a UK edition because I wanted the paperback, and this is finally an adult novel. I think this one is also a thriller. It's about a woman who returns after a deep sea mission that ended in something tragic, and something is wrong with her, and her wife notices it. So this is basically the story of that. Next, I have two nonfictions that I want to read in 2025. I don't read much nonfiction at all. I don't think I read a single nonfiction book in 2024. The first one is Chanel Miller's Know My Name. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this story, but this is about a sexual assault that happened to Chanel Miller, and she went through hell with her accusations and her case, and it shows the flaws in our justice system in terms of finding justice for sexual assault victims. The other memoir is Stay True by Hua Su. This one is a more like a coming of age story, or a story about finding yourself and moving through the world in search of meaning and belonging and growing up. So I've heard good things about this. It's also the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. We'll see if I enjoy this one or not. Then I have, I think, a couple of romances, and the biggest one that I really want to get to is probably Emily Henry's Funny Story. This is again the UK edition, so it's actually a signed copy. I didn't know that when I bought it. Signature, which is really a very nice surprise there. So yeah, we have Funny Story, and then I have Ready or Not by Caraba Stone. This is an accidental pregnancy kind of trope. A lot of people don't like it, but I enjoy it. So, and the cover is just stunning. It's so pretty. And then finally, I'm hoping to read my first Ellen Hilderbrand. I finally found a copy of The Hotel Nantucket secondhand. So, and the paperback, because I see her hardback books all the time at thrift stores, and they're like huge. So I was so happy when I finally found it, and this is the one that I've always wanted to read from her. So excited for that. And then I don't know if this one counts as a romance. Probably not, but this is The Way I Am Now by Amber Smith. This is the sequel to The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith, which was one of my favorite reads of 2024. It made me cry in a way that no book has ever made me cry. So I don't know how this one is going to be. I haven't heard much about this one. I'm so invested in the story and the characters that I need to read the sequel to it. I might regret it because usually when books are so good, I just want to leave it as it is and just remember that part of it. I'm too curious, so here we are. I hope to get to this. And I think that is it in terms of romance-ish books. Now we can get to literary fiction because I have quite a bit. Before I get to that, I do have one more holiday read that I hope to get to this coming winter, in January or February, and that is The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. This holiday read I got last year, hoping to read it last holiday, but didn't get to it, so I'm hoping to get to it this time. This is a book that revolves around a group of friends, female friends, that come together in the face of tragedy, make it through the holiday season together, and I love the cover of this one. It's so pretty. I do have a translated fiction book, which is I think my only translated fiction on this pile, and it is a translated Japanese book called Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sugekawa. I had this book for such a long time, and here's the thing, right? I don't know if many of you know, but maybe you do. There are a series of really popular Japanese books called Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I started reading the first book and I really didn't enjoy it. Honestly, I didn't enjoy it. I was kind of bored with it, and I know it's probably unpopular opinion, but I had to DNF it. So I don't know what it is about that book that I just didn't connect with. I was a little hesitant to pick up another one of these seemingly cozy Japanese translated fiction novels. They're really short, so this one I might just give it a go and see if I like it or not. Okay, so the literary fiction, the first book I need to really hopefully read is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I actually started reading this book and then I put it down, not because it wasn't good, but because I was reading other books, and I decided to put this one down because I want to give it my full attention, and then I never came back to it. So next year I'm definitely coming back to this and I'm finishing this for sure. I even started tabbing it, and then who knows what happened. So this was a wildly popular book. Next, Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I read A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman, which I loved, absolutely loved it. I also read Britt Marie Was Here by him, which is a lesser known novel by him, and I love that one too. And then I read Anxious People, and I really disliked that one. I guess it's another unpopular opinion because Anxious People is a widely popular book by Frederick Bachman. He is still one of my favorite authors because when he writes a book that I love, I really truly love it. And I'm hoping Beartown is one that I will enjoy because I hear so many people talk about it and I have a good feeling about it. Another book from an author that I tried to read from and I didn't love, and a very popular author, is Sally Rooney, and this is her Beautiful World, Where Are You? So I tried to read Conversations with Friends by her, and I know her writing is a little bit different and it's either you love it or you hate it. In my case, I didn't really love it in Conversations with Friends. I DNF'd that book. And then I tried to read her newest novel, Intermezzo. Didn't work out. DNF'd that one as well. So I was talking to another a booktuber, bookstagrammer, and she told me like it's best to start with Beautiful World, Where Are You? If you don't enjoy conversations with friends, because people seem to either love or hate one or the other. So if you love conversation with friends, you might not love Beautiful World, Where Are You? So they seem to be on opposite spectrums. So I'm gonna try this one. I found this at my local bookstore as a remainder book, so like an overstock book. So I got it for cheap. Literary fiction books that I want to get to. Big Swiss by Jen Began. Oh my goodness, I've heard so many good things about this book. I'm just haven't had time to get to it, so I am definitely gonna get to this next year. And then I have this beat up copy of Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. This was voted as New York Times best book of the century. And I have been wanting to read this book already before it even made that list. So when I saw this at a library sale while I was traveling in Rhode Island, I got this for $1. It's a very beat up copy. It's still readable. And I'm gonna be very honest, I don't love the cover. It's kind of creepy. Is it creepy or is it just me? I have to get to Coco Meller's Blue Sisters. This is one of the books that I'm holding on to because I'm waiting to read it. Like I'm savoring it for some special occasion. I don't know, because I loved Cleopatra and Frankenstein so much. I'm like, if I read this book, then I don't have any more books by her to read. So I've just been like waiting and waiting. I'm like, it's time. It's time. And this cover, oh my goodness, look how beautiful that is. This is the UK edition. The US edition also has a beautiful cover as well. It has the four sisters on the cover. Oh my goodness, this one is going to be one that I'm going to be the most nervous about starting. And that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Not only because of the size of this book, but because of the subject matter in this book. I started a little bit of it just to kind of test it out, and I think I'm most intimidated by the size of it. It is, I think it's like 800 pages. Yeah. So, but I feel like this is one of those books that I have to read it, you know, because curiosity is going to get the better of me. Next one is Stillborn by Guadalupe Netto. This is a Fitzcarraldo edition, which is the blue cover and then just words. I love these editions. I get these from Blackwell's and they're just gorgeous. So this is a book about motherhood, and I think it revolves around two different women and their decision to either have or not have kids. And I think it's a very good discussion about just women and the idea of pregnancy, starting a family, and all that comes with it. So can't wait to read this. Last two, and these are two that I think can borderline thriller / literary fiction. First one is Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka. This is a pretty popular one, and I've been wanting to read this for a while now, but I finally just acquired it. I think this is similar to Bright Young Women in the sense that it looks through the lens of the women that are affected by a killer. I think it will be in the point of view, similar to Bright Young Women, of the women that are affected by the crime or crimes. So I'm interested to see if I like this or not. Last book is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. I was drawn to this book because of an interview I saw of the author Bella Mackie on YouTube. She was actually talking about her new book that came out. I forgot the name of it. If I find it, I'll put it on the screen, which I'm also very interested in reading. But I think I'm gonna start with this book, I think this is the book that made her. They say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. So I'm just very intrigued. I know she is funny because when I watched the interview, she's a funny lady. So hopefully her humor translates into her writing as well. So I'm excited for this. Alright, so those are all the books that I'm hoping to get to. If you see some here that you're interested in, maybe you can join me in reading these too in the coming year. And if you have any books for 2025 that you are definitely going to try to read, let me know what they are. I am very curious to hear. I love chatting about books. I could chat about it all day long. Whether it's books you read or books you hope to read, love to hear it. So yeah, hope you enjoy this little segment with books, and I will chat with you about books next time.
Alright, to end off this video, I wanted to share some clips of the time we spent at one of the Home Depot Kids Workshops. If you guys haven't been to a Home Depot Kids Workshop, definitely check it out with your kiddo because it is so much fun and it is completely free. All you have to do is just sign up for the class. They usually do one every month, the first Saturday of each month. And it is always such a fun time, and my son is loving these little workshops. In this workshop, we were making a snow globe, so that was so much fun and it was perfect for the holidays. Anyways, so thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!